Hi, everyone. I have Danielle Frawley, Chief Lending Officer at Fort Community Credit Union. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm thrilled that we're talking about this topic. And if you could kind of share, how long have you been managing the world of processing and closing?
From the processing perspective, it's been about 4 years.
So you've seen a lot in 4 years.
In the last 4 years, certainly, it's been a dynamic environment for all of us to be in.
For sure. Well, just to kind of give the big picture, I don't know if you remember the days where that role was pretty much 100% administrative, and they weren't really speaking to the borrower or even the loan officer half the time. But that's all changed, and it's changed the type of skills that we need in that position. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say that we've had a lot of conversations with our processing team in regards to really being that backup communicator for our mortgage loan officers. The pipelines have gotten so busy, and a lot of times the processor is the one so often communicating the back end documents to the member that that person really starts to become the main point of contact during the processing of the loan. And one of the concerns we've had during that is making sure that they're engaging and not pushing it back to the mortgage loan officer, but engaging with the member one-on-one.
So, Danielle, if you had to actually separate the top processors from others, especially when it comes to communication skills, what do you see?
I would say it's the processors that are meeting the members where they want to be met. And when I say that, it means if the member calls, call them back. If the member emails you, email them back. So meet them where they're at. So many people are very busy in their lives trying to deal with a mortgage application while they're working full time, maybe taking care of a family, volunteering. They have a lot going on, and the more we can do to meet them where they're at, that's typically the most convenient place for them, is when we really see the mortgage processors flourishing.
So that leads me to the next issue, especially the handling of difficult customers. That is a reality. You do have difficult customers. And so, how do you see processors handling the difficult customers? A lot of times, what I see is that they are really stumped by it.
Yeah, what I would say is a lot of it comes down to what we're coaching these processors to. For some of them who had started many years ago, we have processors here at the credit union that started, close to 30 years ago now. And so that role has really changed over the years, but making sure that we've been providing the support and the coaching as those changes have come up. For example, one of the things that we do a lot of here at the credit union is emotional intelligence training. So trying to remain calm and working with that EQ to aid them in those difficult situations, especially with how busy it has been for everyone over the last 2 years. There are many difficult situations they've been having to deal with, and helping them through that from both an EQ, emotional intelligence perspective, and then also from a diversity perspective, helping them realize that everyone's coming from very different backgrounds, very different lives, and reminding them always that there's a reason we do the job we do, and it's because we're the experts. And let's not assume that the member knows all of the acronyms we are throwing at them. So, coming to them as if you were training a new processor, and they don't know any different, because a lot of times, especially with seasoned processors and seasoned mortgage officers, we can forget that there's a reason that we do the job we do, and it's because we're the experts at it, and we're there to help that member understand.
Yeah, that's really a great point. That's why we've included it certainly in our training. But to talk about this issue about processors, and especially from the standpoint, what I see, as I've mentioned to you before, is that they will default to the email versus doing a phone call or some type of personal interaction. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, and as we've talked about before, we've had many conversations with the processors here, especially I think it's sometimes generational, sometimes more comfortable if it's a difficult situation for them to send an email versus pick up the phone. But a lot of times we have to remember that picking up the phone, the member hears our voice, they can hear our smile, and they can hear the empathy. And there's a lot more questions and dialogue that can go back and forth by phone easier than emailing, because the process is a complex one. And with each email probably comes an additional question. And so instead of 10 emails going back and forth, by simply picking up the phone and talking to the member and being right there with them, maintaining that calm tone and that slow explanation of what's going on without sounding demeaning, but making sure that you're very much there and empathetic towards that member's concerns is conveyed so much more eloquently via the phone than email.
I agree 100%. I think you're right on with all of that. So now here's the big question. When you had to look out in the future, maybe 5, 10 years from now, how do you see that position as far as a driver of customer experience?
Yeah, so the more and more I see it, I really do think that, they're very much hand in hand, that communication specialist with the mortgage officer, very much almost as an executive assistant to the mortgage officer. They're aiding that member through the entire process along with the mortgage officer and making sure that they're treating that file like they own it with the mortgage officer. And in order to do that, I think we need to continue to make them comfortable being both face-to-face and back office, and provide that coaching and training similar to the training that you're providing mortgage processors.
Well, I want to thank you, Danielle. They're terrific insights, and certainly I want to thank you for sharing them. Thanks so much.
You're very welcome.